Hey, and welcome. Comparing yourself to other people can feel like a normal habit, almost harmless. A quick glance at someone else's success, body, relationship, confidence, or career, and suddenly your own life feels smaller. But the deeper problem isn't that comparison exists, it's that most comparisons are fundamentally unfair. They compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, yes, but more importantly, they compare two people with completely different starting points, resources, timing, personalities, and invisible burdens. In this video, we'll explore why comparing yourself to others distorts reality, how it quietly damages motivation and self-worth, and why the only comparison that's truly useful is the one between you now and you 1 year ago, or the version of you you're about to build over the next year. Chapter 1. Why comparing yourself to others is unfair. Comparison often feels like data, like you're just being realistic. But most of the time, comparison is not data. It's a story your mind tells when it feels uncertain about your worth. Here's why it's unfair. 1. Everyone has different starting conditions. You're not comparing two equal games. You're comparing two entirely different rule books. Some people start with emotional safety at home, financial stability, social confidence shaped by supportive friendships, health, energy, and a nervous system that's less reactive, mentors and guidance, time, quiet, and space to focus, fewer responsibilities early in life. Other people start with chronic stress, trauma or instability, mental health challenges, caregiving responsibilities, financial pressure, isolation, health limitations, a loud inner critic built by years of survival. If two people run the same race, but one starts 50 meters behind and carries a heavy backpack, you wouldn't call it motivation when the other reaches the finish first. You would call it different conditions. But in modern life, we rarely see the backpack. We only see the finish line photo. 2, you can't see the invisible costs. Even when someone looks ahead, you don't know what it costs them. Sometimes people succeed with deep anxiety, perfectionism, loneliness, exhaustion, family conflict, health sacrifices, emotional numbness. You're allowed to admire someone without using them as evidence that you're failing, because you're not just building an outcome, you're building a life you can live inside. 3, comparison ignores timing. Growth has seasons. Someone may be in a season of expansion while you're in a season of recovery. Someone may be harvesting while you're planting. Someone may be sprinting while you're learning how to walk without pain. If you compare your winter to someone else's summer, of course you'll feel behind. But winter is not failure. Winter is where roots grow. 4, comparison collapses complexity into one number. The mind compares in one dimension. Money, looks, achievements, followers, productivity. But a human life is multidimensional. You might be behind in career, but ahead in emotional maturity, kindness, depth of relationships, self-awareness, resilience, stability, integrity. If you judge yourself with one metric, you'll miss your real progress. 5, comparison uses someone else's values as your standard. This is the quietest trap. You look at someone else's life and feel pressure without asking, do I even want what they have? A person can be successful in a way that would make you miserable, and you can be behind in a race you never wanted to run. So a gentle practice is to pause and ask, what am I actually measuring? And is it aligned with my values? Because comparisons often misdirected ambition. Chapter 2. The only useful comparison, you versus you. If comparing yourself to others is unfair, what do you compare instead? Compare trajectory, not position. And the best way to measure trajectory is you now versus you before. Why? Because it accounts for your actual starting point. Your mental health, your resources, your responsibilities, your nervous system, your history. These are real. They matter. And self-comparison respects reality. What should you compare? Not just outcomes. Compare how you respond to setbacks, how often you keep promises to yourself, how you speak to yourself, how quickly you recover, whether your habits support you, whether your life feels more aligned. Sometimes the biggest progress is invisible. You're less reactive. You apologize faster. You take care of your body more. You stop abandoning yourself. That's real growth. A simple you versus you reflection. Ask yourself, what was I struggling with 1 year ago? What have I learned since then? What have I survived since then? What do I handle better now? What patterns am I repeating less? This kind of comparison doesn't produce shame. It produces clarity. It doesn't say, you're not enough. It says, look how far you've come. And even if you feel like you haven't come far, this is still useful because it tells you where to focus next without needing to punish yourself. Chapter 3. If you haven't tracked progress, you're at how to plan for a powerful 1 year later. Maybe you're thinking, I don't even know who I was a year ago, or my life has been a blur. That's okay. Start now. The goal is simple. Make it easy for future you to look back and say, I grew. Not necessarily, I became perfect, but I became more myself. Here's how. 1. Choose one focus area for the next year, not 10. Pick one main area: mental health and nervous system stability, health and energy, relationships, career skill building, creativity, confidence, and self-trust, reducing anxiety or overthinking. One focus area doesn't mean you ignore the rest. It means you stop scattering your effort. A year of gentle consistency beats a week of intensity. 2. Define success as a process, not a fantasy. Instead of, I will be successful, choose measurable processes like, I will walk 3 times a week. I will write 20 minutes a day. I will sleep before midnight most nights. I will practice one boundary a week. I will study this skill for 30 minutes a day. Processes create identity. Identity creates outcomes. 3. Track in the smallest way possible. Tracking should be light, not obsessive. Options: a simple calendar with check marks, one note on your phone. Wins of the week, monthly reflection. 5 lines: a photo every month of something meaningful, desk, walk, journal, project. Your goal is to create a trail. A trail is proof, and proof is what builds self-trust. 4. Create future-proof moments. Once a month, write a short message to future you. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm proud of this month. Here's what was hard. Here's what I want to continue. In 1 year, reading 12 small notes like this is powerful. It turns growth from vague to visible. 5. Use comparison as information, not punishment. When you do compare, and you will, ask, what does this trigger reveal about my values? What do I admire here? What skill can I learn? What small step would move me in that direction? Jealousy is often a messy form of clarity. It points to something you care about. Turn it into a compass, not a weapon. 6. Make your year sustainable. Your future self will not thank you for a plan that burns you out. Build a year you can live. Rest as a strategy, boundaries as protection, consistency over intensity, self-kindness over self-hate. The goal isn't to become impressive. The goal is to become steady. Comparing yourself to others is unfair because it ignores the most important part of reality. You are not living their life. You have your own starting point, your own nervous system, your own responsibilities, your own timing, your own invisible battles, and your own path. So, let the comparison you practice be the one that actually helps. Not you versus them, but you versus the person you used to be. And if you want to feel proud 1 year from now, don't wait for motivation. Choose one direction. Take one small step. Track it lightly. Because progress is not a performance. It's a quiet accumulation of days where you didn't abandon yourself. Are there specific topics you're interested in or a particular question you'd like answered in your life? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe now and join me on your journey toward more clarity and inner strength.